Mara, unmute yourself and you can start.
Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavagai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sadasiva Samarambam Sankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Vande Guru Paramparam. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tado Jayamudirayet. I don't have the sloka with me, so should I just go to this? Yeah. Can I just play that and the audio?
I'll play the audio.
If you haven't exercised in years, you have to start small with my beginner-friendly Tai Chi class. How to Vedo nityamadhiyatam taduditam karma swanushtiyatam.
Are you playing it, Dr. Pramara, or do you want me to do that?
I want to lose 20. Kilos for wedding. Do you know your fasting time?
There's some problem error coming up when I'm sharing that. Please go ahead with reading the text, Dr. Mara. Dr. Mara, I'm not sure whether you're able to hear me, but there is some problem with sharing the video.
Oh,
So if you're able to share the audio of the shloka, please go ahead.
okay. I can do the audio sharing. The Sadhana Panchakam, right? Can you hear it?
वेदो नित्यमधीयतां तदुदितं कर्म स्वनुष्ठीयता तेनेशस्य विधीयतामपचितिः काम्ये मतिस्त्यज्यता पापौघः परिधूयतां भवसुखे दोषोऽनुसन्धीयता आत्मेच्छा व्यवसीयतां निजगृहात् तूर्णं विनिर्गम्यता सङ्गः सत्सु विधीयतां भगवतो भक्तिर्दृढाधीयता शान्त्यादिः परिचीयतां दृढतरं कर्माशु सन्त्यज्यता सद्विद्वान्नुपसृप्यतां प्रतिदिनं तत्पादुकासेव्यता ब्रह्मैकाक्षरमर्थ्यतां श्रुतिशिरो वाक्यं समाकर्ण्यता वाक्यार्थश्च विचार्यतां श्रुतिशिरः पक्षः समाश्रीयता दुस्तर्कात् सुविरम्यतां श्रुतिमतस्तर्कोऽनुसन्धीयता ब्रह्मास्मीति विभाव्यतामहरहर्गर्वः परित्यज्यता देहेऽहं मतिरुध्यतां बुधजनैर्वादः परित्यज्यताम् क्षुद्व्याधिश्च चिकित्स्यतां प्रतिदिनं भिक्षौषधं भुज्यताम् स्वाद्वन्नं न तु याच्यतां विधिवशात् प्राप्तेन सन्तुष्यताम् शीतोष्णादिविषह्यतां न तु वृथा वाक्यं समुच्चार्यताम् औदासीन्यमभीप्स्यतां जनकृपानैष्ठुर्यमुत्सृज्यताम् एकान्ते सुखमास्यतां परतरे चेतः समाधीयताम् पूर्णात्मा सुसमीक्ष्यतां जगदिदं तद्बाधितं दृश्यताम् प्राक्कर्म प्रविलाप्यतां चितिबलान् नाप्युत्तरैश्लिष्यताम् प्रारब्धं त्विह भुज्यतामथ परब्रह्मात्मना स्थीयताम्
Okay, that's the end of those 5 verses. So we're going to do this, the third sloka. Okay. I'll just read the sloka but not chanting. Vakshyartacha vicharyatam Shruti Shiraha Pakshaha Samachriyatam Dustarkat Sviram Yatam Shruti Mata Tarko Tarkonusandhiyatam Brahmasmiti Vibhavyatam Ahar Garvaha Parityajyatam Dehe Hamatir Ujyatam Buddha Janair Vadaha Parityajyatam. So, the third verse, reflect ever upon the meaning of the Upanishadic commandments and take refuge in the truth of Brahman. Again, reflect ever upon the meaning of the Upanishadic commandments and take refuge in the truth of Brahman. Avoid perverse arguments but follow the discriminative rationale of the Shruti. Always be absorbed in the attitude, Bhava, I am Brahman. Renounce pride, give up the delusionary misconception, I am the body. Give up totally the tendency to argue with the wise man. So, number 17, constantly reflect upon the meaning of the Upanishadic commandments. So, we're supposed to do what? Constantly reflect upon the meaning of the Upanishadic commandments. We have 4 pithy statements which are considered by the rishis as the very commandments. As the very commandments, and in their embrace, they hold the entire spiritual wisdom of the Vedas. Okay. So we have 4 pithy statements which are considered by the rishis as the very commandments, and in their embrace they hold the entire spiritual wisdom of the Vedas. They are the definition of truth. Consciousness is Brahman. Prajnanam Brahma. Prajnanam Brahma. So consciousness is Brahman, number 1. Number 2 is the statement of advice, Upadesha. That is, that thou art. Tattvam asi. Tattvam asi. That's the statement of advice. One is the definition of the truth. Second one is the statement of advice. And the third one is the statement of direct experience, Anubhava. This Atman is Brahman. I am Atma. I am Atma Brahma. I am Atma Brahma. And the roar of realization, I am Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi. All of them in their togetherness uplift a mind that is steadily contemplating upon this deeper and subtler implication. Consciousness is the one life spark that plays through all creatures, and this is the God. And the Lord, the one substratum from which the universe has risen. in which the universe exists and plays, and into which alone ultimately all names and forms merge. The consciousness in you is your own true nature, and this is essential. Essential substratum. Essential subject. Sorry. Essential subject. All the rest are its subject. All the rest are its objects perceived. Let me see. I can kind of make it bigger so you can see the font better. No. Okay. All the rest are its objects perceived. It alone is the perceiving light of consciousness, the self. All the rest are its objects perceived. It alone is the perceiving light of consciousness, the self. The meditator must come to experience for himself, in moments of deep and total meditation, that he is not the body, mind, intellect complex, but this self in me, Atman, is the one self everywhere, Brahman. After this depth awakening, the sense of individuality ends, and the realized seeker roars in the silence of his fulfillment. I am Brahman. Shankara prescribes that students of Vedanta should constantly reflect upon the untold significances of these four great commandments. I would like to read this again. Is anybody wants anything? So let me see. I could go back. So again, constantly reflect upon the meaning of Upanishadic commandments. We have four pithy statements which are considered by the rishis as the very commandments, and in their embrace they hold the entire spiritual wisdom of the Vedas. They are the definition of the truth. Consciousness is Brahman. Pragnanam Brahma. That's the definition of the truth. The statement of the advice, Upatesha, is that thou art Tattvam Asi. The statement of direct experience, which is Anubhava, this Atman is Brahman. I am Atma, Brahma. So Anubhava is the Atman is Brahman. That I am Atma is Brahman. I am Atma, Brahma. And roar of realization is Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahman. All of them, in their togetherness, uplift a mind that is steadily contemplating upon this deeper and subtler implication. Deeper and subtler implication. Consciousness is the one life. Okay. Consciousness is the one life spark that plays through all creatures. It's a one life spark that plays through all creatures, and this is the God, the Lord, the one substratum from which the universe has risen. So that's one substratum from which the universe has risen, in which the universe exists and plays, and into which alone ultimately all names and forms merge. This consciousness in you is your own true nature. So the consciousness in you is your own true nature. This is the essential subject. Essential subject. All the rest are its objects perceived. It alone is the perceiving light of consciousness, the self. Okay, it alone is the perceiving light of consciousness. It alone is the self. the meditator must come to experience for himself in moments of deep and total meditation that he is not the body mind intellect complex. So in the total meditation, deep meditation is not the body mind intellect complex, but this self in me, Atman, is the one self everywhere, Brahman. After this depth awakening, the sense of individuality ends, and realized seeker roars in the silence of his fulfillment, I am Brahman. How nice it is, right? After this depth awakening, the sense of individuality ends. So we are not going to have that sense perception so much. I mean, after this depth awakening, the sense of individuality ends, and the realized seeker roars in the silence of his fulfillment, I am Brahman. Shankara prescribed that students of Vedanta should constantly reflect upon the untold significance of these four great commandments. So that's about the four Mahavakyas. You have to constantly dwell on it. Take refuge in the truth of Brahman. Take refuge in the truth of Brahman. As limited mortal individuals, we are now recognizing ourselves to be the body and the mind. As an ego, the individualized self, Jiva, pants to rediscover its own apparently lost peace and bliss by acquiring, possessing, embracing, and enjoying the world of sense objects outside. Sense objects outside. A true seeker should constantly take refuge, even if he has no direct experience, in the thought that I am not this body, and live in the silent attitude that I am the one self. Live in the silent attitude that I am the one self. Divorce the divorce the body, mind, intellect, mistress, and get wedded to the self within, which
Beautiful.
is the one self everywhere.
Wow. So nice.
Yeah. He says, divorce the body, mind, intellect, mistress, and get wedded to the self within, which is the one self everywhere. So you can remember this, take refuge, the truth of Brahman, how he's put it. Okay. So we are going to taking refuge in the truth of Brahman and leave the body-mind complex. Not dwelling on all these external objects, possessing, acquiring, and enjoying all of that.
That's what, no, it is said that you're married, you're wedded to your own self.
Right.
Very nice.
Get wedded to the self within. So you're not looking for all these objects outside. And you be happy with the self. I mean, it is happy anyway, eternally happy. So that's your true nature. So number 19, avoid perverse arguments. Avoid perverse arguments. Arguments can be extremely constructive. So we want to avoid perverse arguments. What kind of argument? Perverse arguments. Arguments can be extremely constructive and also completely destructive. It can be constructive or destructive. Right arguments can throw more and more light upon the path to be pursued and the goal to be reached. Second. Okay. Path to be pursued and the goal to be reached, and wrong arguments can bring in confusing banks of mist, blinding our path and veiling our goal. So the right arguments, it shed more light upon the path to be pursued and you can reach the goal. But wrong arguments, it will bring the mist, confusing and blinding our path and veiling our goal. How nicely he put it with that ignorance part. Avoid such unnecessary perverse arguments. So avoid such unnecessary perverse arguments raised by people who have no faith in the Upanishads, no subtlety of perception to feel the unseen Lord playing all around us at all times. Again, avoid such unnecessary perverse arguments raised by people who have no faith in Upanishads, no subtlety of perception to feel the unseen Lord playing all around us at all times. This needs
Yeah.
this needs sensitivity and an inner equipment reduced by its passions and lusts will not have the necessary equipoise to detect the play of the ultimate reality. So it needs sensitivity and inner equipment, reduced by its passions and lusts. So the desires, right, will not have the necessary equipoise to detect the play of the ultimate reality. So here, avoid perverse arguments. Perverse arguments are like the wrong arguments. What can it lead to? It will blind your path and you're not reach the goal and your mind is confused. And especially the people who don't have any faith in the Upanishad or the God around them, they not going to get anywhere with that. Okay. So moving on to number 20. Certainly follow the discriminative rationale of the Shruti. So what we are coming down to, so first one is following the Mahavakyas and then taking refuge to truth of Brahman, avoiding the perverse arguments. And certainly the 20th point is certainly follow the discriminative rationale of the Shruti. So we are supposed to follow the Shruti. While avoiding the perverse logic and false arguments, it is not meant to say that we have no arguments and logical reasoning processes to prove the self within to our own intellectual satisfaction. Vedanta is a rational process, jnana of intellection. What is that? Okay, Vedanta is the rational process of intellection. It's a new word. So we must learn to think and argue along the line of discussion indicated by the Upanishads. So we must learn to think and argue along the line of discussion indicated by the Upanishads. The sequence of arguments by which the rishis deny the 5 sheets, Panchakoshas, the reasons arrayed to examine the 3 states of consciousness, Avastatraya, the logical thought processes elaborated in the Upanishads to show the one changeless self, the sole substratum for the universe of multiplicity and change. The self is the sole substratum for the universe of the multiplicity and change. All this can immensely help your student of purified intellect to heave forward and wake to the dimensionless state of pure consciousness divine. So you want me to read this again one more time? Sorry. Okay.
Yes, Maharaji.
Okay. Certainly follow the discriminative rationale of the Shruti. So why we are supposed to follow it? So while avoiding the perverse logic and false arguments, it is not meant to say that we have no arguments and logical reasoning processes to prove the self within to our own intellectual satisfaction. Vedanta is a rational process of jnana. It's the knowledge, right? Rational process of the jnana. And we must learn to think and argue along the line of discussion indicated by the Upanishads. Along the line, like he said, the sequence of arguments by which the rishis deny the five sheets, the panchakoshas, are not the self, right? So, panchakoshas, the reason arrayed to examine the three states of consciousness, avastatraya, the logical thought processes elaborated in the Upanishads to show the one changeless self, sole substratum for the universe of multiplicity and change. All this can immensely help a student of a purified intellect to heave forward and wake to dimensionless state of pure consciousness. So heave forward and wake to the dimensionless state of pure consciousness divine. So we are taking care of this, avoid perversive arguments, but at the same time, we follow the Upanishad, the Vedas, Shruti for the logical reasoning of the self. Be absorbed, number 21. Be absorbed in the attitude, I am Brahman. So be absorbed in the attitude, I am Brahman. As we are, we live in the assumption that we are the limited ego, jiva, tyrannized by our equipments, BMI, that's body, mind, and intellect, shamelessly struggling to eke out our happiness from the world outside, which is the object, emotions, and thoughts. That's OET. We have lived in this false notion for such a long time that any amount of study and reflection cannot end our tendency, vasana, to consider us as a helpless, hapless ego. Again, I'll read this line. We have lived in this false notion for such a long time that any amount of study and reflection cannot end our tendencies, which is vasana, to consider us as a helpless, hapless ego. The only antidote for this wrong attitude, samskara, is to unwind them by the nobler and self-recreative attitude that I am Brahman. So the antidote for the ego part is the false notions and all that is I am Brahman. So you live in that attitude, the bhavana. As the timeless self, I am not the body, mind, intellect equipment. Okay, so as the timeless self, I am not the body, mind, intellect equipment. And so I have none of their imperfections or sorrows. So we have to see how it is connected to body, mind, intellect, all the imperfections and sorrows, birth, death, health, ill health, the ashramas, the varnas, the species, the castes, color, distinctions are all based upon and with reference to the body. Joy and sorrow experiences are determined by the mind, and as I am not the mind, they too are not mine at any time. The intellectual restlessness are not mine, and as I am not the intellect, to keep the attitude I am Brahman under all sets of circumstances is to bring an indomitable amount of equipoise and joy, balance, and bliss into our inner life. Wow. So it's again, this paragraph is so complicated, but let me read this one more time. As the timeless self, I am not the body, mind, intellect equipment, and so I have none of their imperfections or sorrows. Birth, death, health, ill health, the ashramas, the varnas, the species, the castes, color distinctions are all based upon and with reference to the body. Joy and sorrow experiences are determined by the mind. and as I am not the mind, they too are not mine at any time. The intellectual restlessness are not mine, as I am not the intellect. To keep the attitude that I am Brahman under all sets of circumstances is to bring an indomitable amount of equipoise and joy, balance, and bliss into our inner life. So, we have to divorce that BMI part and wedded to the inner self. And you have to have that equipoise, joy, balance, bliss into our inner life.
In all the three levels, body, mind.
Yeah, yeah. So with the body mind itself, how much imperfection and sorrow it comes up with, right? With all this distinctions, like differences, everything, for no, um, it only causes pain or some joy, but not all permanent, right? Okay. Next one is renounce pride. Out of identification with the body, okay, renounce pride. Out of identification with the body and possessions come the exaggerated sense of self-importance. Okay, when you identify with the body and the possessions come exaggerated sense of self-importance, accompanied always by demeaning irreverence to all others. These factors together create pride. It is essentially a false attitude of the ego. When it is identified with the limited matter layers around it. So when it is identified with the limited matter layers around it. To renounce this pride and its baser tendencies is to surrender to the self in one's own heart. So leaving that ego is that the false attitude of the ego that renounces the pride, and you surrender to yourself, to the self in your own heart.
The exaggerated self-importance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a pride, right? Like, so you kind of give yourself, oh, I am this, I am that. How can you not obey me, like that kind of
Correct.
attitude? Okay. Give up the idea, I am the body. Okay, so if we were dealing with this, give up the idea, I am the body. I am the body. Attitude is natural as we had already lived thus through billions of years. Today only I was looking up to see how many years ago with this universe started, right? It's 13.8 billion years ago. So that's how many years we have lived through this. We
God.
have lived, yeah, I am the body attitude is natural as we had already lived thus through billions of years during our slow evolutionary progress from the lesser equipments as plants and then as animals. So, slow evolutionary progress from the lesser equipments as plants and then as animals. In these lower states, the soul dharma was to maintain the attitude that I am the body. So, when we are in the lower level of evolution or plants and animals, that we are with that attitude of I am that body. Because nature had not yet completed her work of polishing and improving the physical structures and their functions. Now we have fully reached the noble anatomical structure and the perfect physiological functioning of the human form. So now we reach the for noble anatomical structure and perfect physiological functioning of the human form. Hereafter, self-preservation is not through the body. It becomes preservation of the beauty, grace, and glory of the self. So self-preservation is not through the body, but by the preservation of beauty and grace and glory of the self. The body of man is meant only for the service, upakara. Okay, it's the body of the man is only meant for the service, upakara of others, para. Paropakarartam, okay. Paropakarartam idam sariram. Okay, paropakarartam idam sariram. Your body is not meant for you. It is an efficient tool to serve others. Our job now is to purify the mind-intellect equipment and transcend them so that we directly come to experience the supreme state of pure consciousness, the God state. Therefore, give up the empty false idea, I am the body. Okay, that's a false idea that I am the body.
So seva is so important, see.
So it is upakara for others. Our body's functioning is upakara for others. Of course, it's also kshetrajna, kshetra, like kshetra for the kshetrajna. But then again, we have to maintain that body for that reason. But then it is to help other people mostly. And then the mind and intellect equipment is to transcend them and then directly come to experience the supreme state of pure consciousness and give up this false idea that I am the body. So we saw the Mahavakyas, and then see, by the time we read, we can't go to the next one, we forget. What is the next one? We read about Mahavakyas, and then Shruti, right? We had to, and then avoid for the false arguments or wrong arguments, perversive arguments. And then you have follow the Shruti Vakya, Shruti, and then dwell in the observe in the attitude of I am Brahman, renounce pride, and give up the idea of the body now. And then give up the arguments with the wise. 24. We approach men of direct experience and men of spiritual knowledge for our own benefit. So we approach men of direct experience and men of scriptural knowledge for our own benefit. We are not, oh yeah, this one is give up arguments with the wise. Yeah. No, spiritual knowledge for our own benefit. We are not obliging them. They are not gaining anything by teaching us the glory and nature of the self. It is not they who benefit when they patiently explain and encourage us to reach the self. It is entirely our gain. They are people who have already fulfilled their life. Out of mere compassion at our suffering, they stir about to instruct, inspire, and guide us. By our gross arguments, we should not try to block this flood of their love sweeping down to bathe us in the joy and happiness. So don't argue with the wise. So, should we do Manana on this? Let me see what time it is. Oh, God.
Sorry to interrupt, Dr. Mara. We are reading the Upanishads, na? Which one?
Yeah, this is actually the Sadhana Panchakam that Swami Chinmayananda's script. The
Very
one
nice.
we
Very
read
nice.
was the comments by Chinmaya too, but then this is solely his commentary on the Sadhana Panchakam.
Sadhana Panchakam. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So let
Very
me,
beautiful.
yeah. So this third verse, let me read this gist of that third verse is reflect ever upon the meaning of the Upanishad commandments and take refuge in the truth of Brahman. Avoid pervasive arguments but follow the discriminative rationale of the Shruti. Always be absorbed in the attitude bhava, I am Brahman. Renounce pride. Give up the delusory misconception, I am the body. Give up totally the tendency to argue with the wise man. Like yesterday, Dr. Brahma was saying the last two verse was about all the outside world we talked about. And then now this is all about the self. So we are more into leading about how to achieve that state. So constantly we have to reflect on this Mahavakyas. How we do that is to understand those four different statements, right? Initially they said definition of the truth, which is the I am consciousness is Brahman. First thing is we know that Chat Chit Ananda, right? The Chit is consciousness is the Brahman. So the second Vakya is that Upadesa is Vakya, that thou art is Tattvamasi. And then third one is about Anubhava. Anubhava is I am Atma Brahma, that I am Brahman. Sorry, what is that? Yeah, the Atman is Brahman. Sorry, not I am Brahman. The Atman is Brahman is I am Atma Brahma. That is Anubhava. I am Atma Brahma. And then the realization, the roar of realization, when it comes down to that, you're like, then Aham Brahmasmi. So there's four Vakyas that together uplift our mind, and we do the deeper and deeper meditation and understand this consciousness. When we think about it, this consciousness is everywhere, right? So we are all dipped into that. We are surrounded by it and within ourselves also, but then yet we are not realizing it. So for us to really close our eyes, not to see anything outside of our body, like that sense equipment, right? They say shut you off. This is the reason they keep telling to leave the body, or I am not the body, all that comes. And then the understanding this consciousness is like how they talk about the next thing, how you take refuge in the truth of the Brahman. So leaving the ego, and that's where he talked, one sentence he says, divorce the body, mind, intellect, and which gives a lot of sorrows and all this pain, everything else, and you better to the self within that, and the one in self everywhere. So please share your thoughts also. Please. We went over what eight statements here.
See, billions of years we have come and gone with different bodies.
Yeah, that's amazing. When I was just looking at reading a little bit of Gita, like since we are reading about Vedas daily, right? Little bit. I said, how long ago this happened, right? It's
Yeah, The same intense. Yeah.
1400 BC, it said. So then I tried to see what is BC. So I learned one thing today is that BC you can calculate by adding what that year, the 1400 BC means you add that plus the current year, right? 2025 minus 1. That would be the age that happened like that. But some people say it was 3100 BC or something like that, with the recent archaeological evidence when the war, Kurukshetra war happened. So I tried to see, like, all this we're reading, we didn't see it directly, like how you um, trust all this information, right? We have the faith, but at the same time, um, I mean, I have no problem with that at all, with this Mahabharatam, even as this all this dramas that been enacted about Ramayana and Mahabharata, they still portray that pretty well, yeah, that language and everything looks pretty good, in fact. So when I looked at it, I felt, oh my God, these things are really true, We always think with the modern, like, westernized world, like, oh, it's like going to a church. It's so simple. We don't have a form, or we don't have this, and they go with their shoes in there and dressed a certain ways. But we have a little bit of kind of, I wouldn't say restriction. We follow certain guidelines. When you go to the temple, you have to worship like this. You have to do
Sacredness.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have, for everything we have a reason for it, but then because it is a little difficult for people to follow, because it's a convenience part of it, because your mind is not wanting to any difficult things unless you are really stuck in a rut, like really a problem facing that time, then you think of God. But otherwise, uh, people not wanting to trust all this deeper analyzing in the information and going into it. But anyway, going back here is
Yeah.
so how much then, that's when I was thinking, when did the universe start? Was like 13.8 billion years ago.
Wow.
Again, even there it says, even with the that Abrahamic the versus the Hindu religion also says that the Brahman is the eternal, and it didn't start with zero, so there's its beginning class. So it starts with one, so that's why they minus one when you calculate that
Amazing.
age. Yeah.
That means
Anyway.
billions of times we come different families with same intensity we have lived. How many times they were cremated, they recycled? Oh my God. Mind blowing.
Yeah. Yeah. 82, I think 82 lakhs or billions. I don't remember how, like that many birds we have taken
Yeah,
so far.
84 million births.
Like that.
Yeah.
So then you think of it in the how many billions that we have taken that many birds. And we have come to the stage with so like dwelling on our figuring it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what, Swami Vivekananda says, what happened to your all the previous spouses and children and families. Now you're attached to this. This also you're going to leave and go. Another so many families are waiting for us to go in and out.
Yeah. So take refuge in the truth of Brahman and avoid those arguments. Why should we do the perversive arguments? Why should we avoid that? Because it's going to be a roadblock to reach our goal. It's going to keep our mind not pure. So then you won't be able to realize that self. So that's the reason not having that type of arguments. You can have argument that's more logical and reasoning to come to a better conclusion.
Or Vidandavada. Yeah, that should not be there.
Right. There is 3 or 4 kinds of vada, right? One is to samatva, like to not... I know we read all that in the interactive somewhere.
Jalpa, Vitandavada, Samavada. Samvada.
Samavada, yeah, that's a reasonable stuff. Discriminate rational of the Shruti. Okay. So in the whole idea is to come to the conclusion that I am Brahman and dwelling in that thought and leaving the body, mind, intellect attitude. And again, leaving the body mainly and then using the mind and intellect to do the meditation, transcend the mind and intellect to transcend to the self.
De-link from your body and then your
Right.
mind, intellect, you should transcend.
And then slowly then reach you get the help of wise person to teach us, because all this Upanishad, the scripture knowledge and for our own benefit. But then again, don't argue with them in terms of asking again then unnecessary questions. And right question could be to clarify our doubts. You can ask question, but at the same time, not ask the question that doesn't make any help to anybody for that matter. Okay. So is that clear, or we need to repeat any of this that we read so far? We are almost time now. You're doing 1 verse per day. The second one is about the food, and then again how he talks, titiksha, all that. And then the third or fifth one is the solitude, how to quieten the mind, all that. Okay, Dr. Pramana, do you want to share the video or should we end here? Guess it's 8 o'clock already.
You can conclude, Dr. Mara. There's
Okay.
some problem with my video sharing.
Yeah, there is a problem that, for me also having trouble. Loka samasta sikino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Om Tat Sat Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Let me see, I can stop sharing and then Can you hear okay?
Yes.
Our body is made up of trillions and trillions of cells.
Very low volume.
The body appears to be stagnant, but it is full of changes every minute. Like a river, it's ancient, yet the water is new every minute. Nothing solid in your body, everything is fluid, everything is changing. Honor your own body. Our body is like the wick of a candle, and the mind is like the glow all around it. And your mind has no face, no shape, it's just energy. आपका मन का कोई चेहरा नहीं है, कोई रंग नहीं है. ऐसे ही सबका मन भी ऊर्जा ही है. Discard all the faces and see everyone only as energy. See everyone as just a silhouette with no face and just consciousness, just energy. Let's take a deep breath in with a smile. मुस्कुराते मुस्कुराते गहरी सांस लीजिए. मुस्कुराते मुस्कुराते सांस छोड़े. एक विराट ऊर्जा का एक अंग है आप. You're just a part of the ocean of energy. That's called the Brahman. Let's take a deep breath in. ओंकार का उच्चारण करते हैं. ओम. Let the sound of Om reverberate in every cell of your body, in every corner of your mind. Sound Om is purifying and energizing. Let's breathe in again. Om. ओंकार एक एक कण को शुद्ध कर देता है और पवित्र कर देते हैं. फिर एक गहरी सांस लीजिए. ओम.
Mm. Yeah.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. धीरे धीरे शरीर और परिसर के प्रति सजग हो जाए। एक गहरी सांस लीजिए। टेक ए डीप ब्रेथ इन, and as you breathe out, you may gently open your eyes.
Have a good day. See you tomorrow.